have been sent to you. Enjoy your platinum.
Who did you say to pull up there, JJ? You said words and I stopped listening.
Lucky 82.
Yeah, I
Lucky
posted it there.
82. Oh, thank you. Let's click that Lucky 82 link. The end of round timer should still stay there. People should know how the hour is progressing. The first hour. They should
And
try
we
to keep.
see LakosPolan on the near side facing none other than Bella.
Yeah, the hex playing dog. Unfortunately, when you're a dog, you are. Jeez. Reese the Crust Crawler creating another slaughter gear. I'm gonna go out of my way. In the first couple of tournament series, when me and JJ were casting this alone, every single time Reese created a troop, we saw it create a Tower Hulk, and that Tower Hulk went to the graveyard. Every single time we've watched one today, slaughter gear. Interestingly enough, if it creates a second slaughter gear, that is a unique War Factory creating destructive, marauding, hex gem filled monstrosity creature troop, and will be pretty scary. More relevantly, though, and on Lakos' side of the board, a handful of cards and a board full of excellent troops. A Stormcloud with multiple counters and a Cerulean Mirror Knight on the board. Sapphire Ruby Polka versus Sapphire Wild Bertram. Not the typical decks that we're used to seeing, not the individual stuff. Crackling Bolt going out here. This is probably going to be pop Stormcloud and hope for Thunder. Biddy Bolt. Yeah.
Yep.
Now the Biddy Bolt will then sacrifice itself to deal the final 2 damage to Reese, which will still draw a card for Lakos. This is a really good card. Really good thought process there. Lays down Lord Alexander. Interesting to see the sponsor of the tournament playing favorites and going into Lakos' hand. Colin, you were supposed to stay impartial during this event, but there you are helping a player out just right in the middle of the board. Interesting.
Interesting to note, too, with Havoc's prior turn, he went with the Oracle Song after playing. He went for the Oracle Song afterwards. He could have had the Mirror Knight out first and inspired the Slaughter Gear there as well.
Well, yeah, did he use the charge power then create the... Yeah. Interesting situation there. Oh! Okay. We warped time there for just a split second. Colin laughing in chat. For those of you that don't know, the sponsor of the tournament is Hex Colin in chat, and the Highlands Magus, which is sitting in Lakos' hand over there on that far right, is in fact Colin's vanity card. This is a scary and devastating situation for Lakos to be in. That Grolk hits the board, and the Grolk will exhaust all of his troops who will not ready during the next turn. This is not the situation you want to be in if you're Lakos. You had a clearly winning board state, and you are immediately flipped onto the other side of the table. We'll see how this plays out. We see the Excavation Hulk and the Slaughter Gear going in there for damage. A lot of card draws available for Lakos here, so we'll see if he can find a better answer for things.
Well, he already has a set of answers that he could possibly do. He can get 4 troops out on the board with Colin here, followed by Royal Falconer.
That's true. We'll see what the Highlands Magus, who when he enters play gains a random Inspire power, gets. Lakos doesn't even care, but it looks like it got Alwyn's. Man, everybody getting good.
He went fast there.
Yeah.
Looks like a Elite Pyromancer.
No, that's Alwyn. Oh, is it? Oh, wait.
So +2 attack? Oh, no. Just +1.
Oh, it's Sword Trainer. It's Sword Trainer. It's plus attack equal to Highland Magus's attack.
Okay.
Another Grolk, of course, is game here, which is the natural threat of Lakos here. Havoc does use Slaughter Gear to turn that Worker Bot into a War Hulk, which can crush over at least a little bit. Oh, man.
It's a lot of damage, but it's not fatal yet.
It's not fatal yet. Let's see what Havoc has in store for the board. If anything, if he had the Grolk, he would flip it into the air and watch it fall onto the board, cackling like a madman, as Havoc is well known to do. LakosPolan not choosing to go for a victory by time here, which is the way you usually beat Havoc.
It's close here. There's a lot of cards that.
There's a lot of cards that win the game this turn. A lot of combinations of cards, I suppose. Grolk would have been played by now, so Lakos has escaped the Grolk scenario. Now, Havoc, has he not the win this turn, must consider the devastation that will be Lakos' next turn. Can Havoc survive a potential Gore Feast here? With the amount of flyers that Lakos is representing, I don't think it's possible. So should Lakos be holding Gore Feast and you're Havoc in this situation, you have to understand that that's terrible. So he's got to decide if swinging in is the idea. There's a lot of things to think about here. It's a pretty complicated board state. Otherwise, he's slow rolling that Grolk like a boss.
I think right now Havoc might be consulting with Bella as to what to do.
Bark, bark.
If you had a Mastery of Time on Havoc's side, what do you think you would do here? Would you attack first, Mastery? Would you?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I think you attack first in Mastery because you were going to attack first anyway. Like, you were going to attack this turn just to try to bruise the board.
Havoc decided to turn all the cards sideways.
Now, this is a thing that can happen. Biddy Bolt not being used in this scenario. I potentially getting rid of that Warhulk with a block by Royal Falconer and using the Biddy Bolt. You know, like blocking.
Yep. Block plus
the Biddy Bolt could have saved
2.
1 point of damage here, and I realize that is not at all, excessively relevant, but it could turn out to be.
He could have also just killed the
Warhulk.
Not the Warhulk. Well, yes, the Warhulk with a block could have been killed, but he could also have killed the Menacing Grolk.
Oh, the Grolk or the Mirror Knight.
Or the Mirror Knight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, leaving it up, it's a troop for those neat little feasts involving gore in hand.
Yeah. Now, Havoc, of course, playing Sapphire and with 9 resources open and 6 cards in hand, has the potential of just not caring about Gore Feast. Has the potential of having Verdict or counter and Verdict, or 2 verdicts or 3 counters or 4 counters, or I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here.
Even if that were the case, there's still a bunch of other options in hand, especially with that with the draw available. The charge, Lakos gets his charge power next turn, and the Lord Alexander. But Reese from hand does not get to create random robots, but instead gets worker bots, and that is relevant in this situation.
Yeah, now we'll see. Lakos will create the Blaze Elemental, choosing not to use a Cerulean Mirror Knight ahead of time, which is fine. There is a verdict for the Gore Feast.
Now, did he count this out?
The last thing that Lakos wanted to see there was that sort of devastation. He is going to alpha swing. Interesting. He goes for everything. Reese and the worker bot crew will likely get in front of something. Is there enough damage being pushed through here? So there's 3 in the air and 1 more on the ground. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This isn't enough damage.
It's not, but does Havoc know that?
That's true.
I mean, this is one of those. Yeah, you could make bad blocks and die to potential burn, but Havoc blocks just enough, stay at 6 here. Yep.
4.
And
Oh, it is. It is.
He does concede.
It is concede. I wonder if there was a way to, like, I mean, had he not swung, he had more potential of surviving, but then we had to see what Havoc's next turn would look like there, because Havoc couldn't create another Warhulk yet. He didn't have the
Crush
resources.
was a problem.
The crush was a problem, but he had enough defense to block all of it. We see Colin coming into the deck or out of the deck or weird things. I was going to say stuff about reserves.
And
he did have 5 damage in actions, guys. Not 4. I said 4, but it was 5.
he needed 6 damage in action. So as a Dark Shadow points out, he could have sacrificed the storm clouds for the splashes
Potential.
for burns.
Potential verdict as well. Yeah, that's true. At the very end of it, he could have gone for the burns potentially.
So that was not the last game in their matchup. They will be going into the next one. People in chat rooting for everyone who's not playing Reese.
Also,
that chat bias.
Quick reminder to the players: we're just going to go ahead and keep playing rounds here for the cup pool play. So please just go ahead and continue finding your opponents and stick around here. The rounds seem to be moving pretty quickly here. Just from looking at it, looks like I think everyone in round 1 is already completed, and we're seeing our round 2 matches here. Some round 2 matches are also finishing up here. Just a couple.
We see Homunculus tweeting 30 minutes ago that he won his round 1 2-0. Hashtag Cup of Fate.
There you go. Getting that social media up.
Oh,
Also,
yeah.
a little bit of Team Reese in chat too. Go Team Reese. Team Reese is fine too.
I'm Infamous Neo. What team are you on?
I'm on Team Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Referring to the Reese teams.
Reese is my boy. I can't go against Reese. He's come to me so many times in limited that I cannot argue with this man. He is the greatest card in the game.
I appreciate that while our tournament is going on, you can see on the left-hand side the games in progress. That scroll bar is huge. Thank you so much to all the players playing, all the people watching. Hopefully you guys are getting a nice taste of what the constructed format is like, even if the meta is not something that you are thrilled with. 270 viewers while we're between rounds here, almost at that 300 mark. That's exciting. Woo!
But so far, we've actually had a pretty decent diversity on stream, right? I mean, we've seen Reese a couple times, but we've seen Mono Sapphire as well as the Blood Ruby deck. We had a Sapphire Wild deck from Havoc. I'm not sure what all the wild cards were there, but
yeah,
also the Gore
we've
Feast.
theoretically seen Reese in every game, but in every match, but that's just kind of to be expected. But they're not all the Mono Sapphire, and the Mono Sapphire is specifically what people
right.
hate.
That's the one that I think gets a lot of heartburn for people, and rightfully so.
Can we actually play your next match once your opponent is done with his match? Yes, Sadolution. You have not only permission, but encouragement to go do so. Imagine that I'm giving you a thumbs up and there's a tint on the end of my glasses.
I think you are giving him a thumbs up.
I in fact was giving him a thumbs up. There's not enough sunlight in Canada for me to tint my glasses. It was pretty cold this morning. I had to put a t-shirt on and everything. You do not have to wait the whole hour, and don't worry about not knowing. We kind of announcing it as we go. We just want pod play to progress as quickly as possible. 1 to 2 Sapphire decks in every match shown is diversity. There's only 5 shards to play through, guys. We named the deck after that fact.
Oh, we should have 1 minute and 10 seconds until the event we're all waiting for. Am I the only one? I hope I'm not the only one.
For which? Oh, yeah. Waiting for the shout out.
You're the only
End of
one.
the round. I'm the only one.
End of the round timer. Players, finish your match.
I see in chat, what is everyone's favorite alternate art card? And I see a lot of alternate arts, Cerulean Mirror Knights, but one Darkspire Punisher alternate art.
The Darkspire Punisher is a pretty cool alternate art. Has anyone said AA Valkyr? Because yeah, they did. Because alternate art Valkyr looks amazing.
Crispy's like, alternate art.
Time is
Pack
up.
Raptor.
Attention all players. Time is up.
Hey, Pack Raptor's pretty cool.
Alternate
I
Inverter.
I have too many cards with art that I diggeth quite deeply.
So we're getting close to the point where we can have decks where a lot of our deck is alternate art.
Yeah, I like that there's a lot of alternate art available. I definitely have seen people play decks that are entirely alternate art too. So
Were they effective
possible.
decks?
No, I mean right now it's kind of hard to get effective decks right now, but one day there'll be observer mode. One day, spectator observer mode. It's gonna be such a good day for Hex for us. Me and JJ will personally dance. We will drive to the middle point between our locations and dance the dance of dancing.
Maybe we just meet up at Gen Con and dance there.
We are going to meet up at Gen Con. It's going to be
Some
amazing.
spirit dancing, Ozawa's OP dancing.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
3 dances.
Oh, we have so many dances now. So we can... currently, we're just waiting as the players relog through their clients. There's a little bit of a technical hiccup on their side. The game... Havoc's client, of course, so slow that sometimes he doesn't show up, is my thought on what's happening. Also, like an interesting screen tear on Lucky's side of the stream. Does everyone see that?
I see it.
Yeah, I hope that isn't persistent, but... It's just going to quickly re-deal with his deck. Rolig Grolig really likes Zentoth's Chosen's art. I'm down to dig that. How is it scored in round robin if somebody drops? One of our tournament mindful folk like JJ are probably better suited to answer that than myself.
Yeah, if we have someone who drops here, we'll just give the other person an 0-1 win.
Well, the game has started and the tear is there, so everybody will get to see.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that goes away. Not the end of the world, actually, the way it's tearing. It's a little interesting, at the very least. A little space warp. Lakos, I believe, kept his hand while Havoc is using his mulligan there. Using his mulligan again, going to 5 cards in hand.
Team Not Reese might be happy at that.
How dare you challenge my knowledge of the game, Ossuary? Do you think I don't know that? I have that knowledge on lockdown.
He's actually even talked about that on the podcast before, too.
Yeah, I typed it out so you knew I didn't look it up. I was like, boom. Now we've got the Shard of Instinct, and it looks like both players just laying out their dual shards there, getting things out as quickly as possible. Interesting hand from Lakos, because it's a lot of... Actually, Field Tactician is interesting tech, isn't it? That's a card that I felt could make the world of Constructed, judging on its ability, but that one shot, the fact that it is one shot makes it really hard to deal with, right? To some extent.
Just one exhaust at the right time, the right place, for free. That might be all you need sometimes.
True story. That is my most drafted card. Here we see the Shard and Cerulean Mentalist from Lakos.
So obviously Havoc's deck is not Mono Sapphire. It's got a bit of Splashing Wild. What have we seen anything from Havoc's deck to suggest why he's Splashing Wild? What card that could be for? There's certainly some usual suspects of what we could expect, but
I mean, he's probably got sight.
Haven't Haven't seen it yet. There's some things I could guess that might be there. If you're afraid of the mono sapphire mirror or pseudo mirror, you might be playing like a Constantina possibly.
I'm guessing it's specifically for a couple of cards, like because he was at 8-1 or something crazy like that with his threshold last time. So probably Sight of Sun, Constantina, Nature Reigns, Winds of Change style things.
Now, interesting to note that Havoc did luck out and get a turn 3 Ancestral Spectre. 2/2 for 1 and draws him a card, but it is the only thing he played that turn. So possibly holding out for a verdict or some other answer. Not enough to counter Magic, obviously, but
A very tight pickup there, getting that Ancestral Spectre. LakosPolan holding onto a Stormcloud with charges here because obviously Sapphire Wild, when we're speaking specifically about constructed, not huge on answers for Stormcloud that destroy it. There is the Sight of Sun, a unique legendary Coyote who can exhaust himself to replenish your resource count and gain a health for every point of resource replenished in such a manner. Cerulean Mirror Knight is such a big pickup here for Lakos. He's going to be able to not only play out his Field Tactician, but when he does pop that Stormcloud, both of the Stormlings will be inspired, pseudo keyword there, with the... No, it's not even a pseudo keyword. They will, in fact, be inspired by the Cerulean Mirror Knight. I was thinking of something entirely different, and I was like, forgot that Cerulean Mirror Knight was actually an inspire effect. For the record, for that conversation going on in chat, I knew what it was, but I didn't respond because I knew who asked the question. And I refused to give Ben that sort of pleasure.
So the exhaust was used on the Ancestral Spectre that allowed both the Mentalist to attack, and there was no block here. One of the Mentalist is inspired with when it deals damage to an opposing champion. Lakos will draw a card, and he did draw an interesting card there.
This
is a very inspireful deck.
Yeah, I mean, Inspire, a super powerful mechanic on its own, but like once you start going with it, it's, it just gets better and better and better. Interesting to bring such an Inspire-filled deck to a meta where bounce is one of the most prevalent things. We see a swing again from the double Cerulean Mentalist and the Field Tactician this time. Havoc choosing to put the Worker Bot in front. Interesting that the screen tear doesn't let us see Havoc's charges, but he is at 0 charges right now, I believe. I think this is probably the time to pop Stormcloud. That's just me. Would you pop your Stormcloud here, Jay?
Yeah, I think I'd go ahead and go for it on 3, especially with the cards we've seen in hand here. I think what I'd probably go ahead and do is I'd play one of those Inspires right there and then pop it.
He has his choice of many 3-cost cards. But he decides not to pop the Stormcloud.
Not popping the Stormcloud. Havoc's... Oh man, I wonder if his deck starts at 4, like Azure Fate shenaniganry. Spell Shield Azure Fate might be the reason to be wild. Not playing anything here.
But reaching 6 resources, Lakos can now Buccaneer.
Yeah, and he is going to do so. Pretty sure at this point you'd probably choose Sight of Sun. Now, here's an interesting consideration. As time goes, that Ancestral Chosen is going to keep creating those Ancestral Specters, which are not what Havoc wants to draw here. He's calling GG. Oh, is it actually? It is, I think, with the charge power. So yeah, Havoc dropping that round there. Will there be a game 3? I think there is. So, like the last time I think we saw Lackey, interesting to see 628 mails unanswered. Just an unreal amount of mail.
Probably, I mean, it didn't end up mattering anyway, but I thought that Lackey maybe was going to go for another Inspire before that Buccaneer on the last turn, but obviously it didn't even matter. Havoc just didn't even have anything there.
It's an interesting situation because, like, when he played that Buccaneer, Havoc either had counter to not die that turn, which would have used all of his resources, or he had nothing and he lost the game, kind of like those were his answers there. I suppose survival of the fittest in a certain amount of playing might have saved it as well, but that, like, I mean, it was very edge case cards, non-constructed style cards that you would expect to see there, or at least outside of the meta cards. For those of you just joining in with us today, we're making a lot of assumptions based on previous cards and meta calls that we've seen. So if we forget we didn't mention Survival of the Fittest, that's because we haven't seen Survival of the Fittest in a constructed deck in a very long time.
Not typically a constructed playable card. And like even in that spot, his biggest troop was a 2/2 that was in play, the Spectre, so it wouldn't have done a whole lot there.
Infamous Neo, should we give out a Monsoon?
Oh, I just started one for Solar and Platinum.
You did. All right, well, I'm glad that we were like literally on the same level. We were like, let's do a giveaway now. So for those of you that aren't watching and are maybe only listening, there's a giveaway for 700 Platinum. Enter the keyword many cheeses, all in chat for one word. As you all know, the man with the most friends is the man with many cheeses. Vivid Psychosis typing Fate of Cup. That's close. That's 2 keywords in a row. Arcanus is just checking to see if he's dropped, but as he checks that, I'm going to drop some scissors on the ground. We see the opening hands again. Lakos with probably the scariest hand you see, the 2 shard, bunch of 3 drops. Havoc having to mull again.
This is interesting. Do you keep this? Lakos is going second, most likely.
Well, and then again, this is a situation where if we see Havoc mulligan to 5 here, Lakos should probably snap keep. Based on what we see here. Havoc, of course, considering his decision, Lakos dancing with the chat screen. Yeah. In a different world where mulligans were alternative, or not alternative, but alternating.
Right.
Lakos might have considered what he did there. Might have considered a mulligan. Playing with the chat screen here just a little bit.
So, given that Havoc is at 5, Lakos is like, my hand's not so bad.
And I mean, especially with on the draw, you're gonna take that. Extra card. Got like 3 or 4 turns here to find a 3rd shard. It's something like 60-70% to do that.
And ripping a 2-drop off the top of the deck. Cerulean Mirror Knight.
Yeah, especially that 2-drop makes the hand look a heck of a lot better. If you had replaced any of the other cards in that hand with a Cerulean Mirror Knight, it would have been a much easier keep. Golden Saucer Guy pumped 64th place and going into top 16. Congratulations. Might be the first confirmed top 16 player we have.
Now, noting that Golden Saucer Guy was a 1-point pickup for the fantasy contest.
That's true. That is absolutely true. So anyone who got GSG on their team. We see a 2nd shard. Still no 3rd shard in Lakos' hand. It's kind of interesting. Havoc tunneled a troop on turn 2. Even if you mull to 5, whatever that is tunneled, wink, is
Monsoon.
A super good. Yeah, exactly. Is usually a good troop. Cerulean Mirror Knight coming down. Havoc basically flashing his street cred. Like, I see your regular Cerulean Mirror Knight. I raise you a Cerulean alternate art Mirror Knight. A lot of value on both sides of the board right now.
Balakis is
Lo-
like is teaming up on the one Sterling Mirror Knight with his 2.
Yep. We see Ancestors Chosen come down. Now, that won't be inspired by the Cerulean Mirror Knight, and that is going to create those 2/2 flyers, put them into Havoc's deck. Havoc probably wanting to draw counters and verdicts here more than he wanted really more troops in his deck. But here we see Lakos stuck on 2. The odds defying him, drawing cards he can't play. Havoc on the other side of the board with much less cards in hand, probably more that he can play. It's clearly a Cottontail Scout, says Rolla.
No, Subterranean Saboteur, obviously.
Could have been
Tectonic Mega Hulk.
Yeah, Tectonic Mega Hulk. Havoc 1 turn away from surfacing Reese, which, I mean, let's be real here. On the other side of the board, we see LakosPolan finding his 3rd shard. This opens up the rest of his hand, and it looks like he's going to lay down the Jags. If I had to guess, it's because he's hoping for that 4th shard and to triple inspire the Royal Falconer combo. Cerulean Mirror Knight, Ancestors Chosen, sitting there while Reese surfaces. Reese will get 2 robots this turn from... first, the Charge Power, which is a Warhulk, the 5/5 with Crush, and the End of Turn Creation. These are big troops for Havoc right now. Like, he needs extra troops on the board, and Infiltrator Bot's another good one. I would say Infiltrator Bot's not one of the better ones you can get, but it has its uses, absolutely. Brutal Response, the one that we expected was the Buccaneer, but Havoc responds with Counter Magic protectoring his Reese.
So
Many of us
interesting
would
to
have
note.
kept the hand.
Yeah, interesting to note. Havoc mulling to 5, but having the key Reese and Counter Magic has been able to actually just take control of this game here.
Now, Eldritch Dreamer comes down. The unblockable damage has just become real. Arcanist have dropped. Yes, Arcanist did drop. Arcanist did drop.
Yeah, please mark that as a 1-0 win.
Whoa, wait. Now that Infiltrator Bot... Okay. The Infiltrator Bot hadn't become unblockable, so there was a tiny potential for another Warhulk for Lakos to throw a Mirror Knight in front. He finds the Ruby Shard here. Now, is this going to change how the board goes? He's going to play... Oh, man, there are some interesting choices here. Havoc only has those 2 cards in hand, and he used all of his resources to play that Dreamer this turn. Oh, man, those are double damage, double card draw on death, Royal Falcons. This is a Blaze Elemental. I mean, Lakos' side of the board is far worse off than Havoc's, but he still
The thing
has
is,
a lot
though,
of
he
potential.
has to survive this next turn. There's an unblockable Eldritch Dreamer. There is a potentially unblockable Infiltrator Bot, and 2 Crush Warhulks on board.
So will Reese get there with that, what I have to call insane amount of draws there? Warhulk into Warhulk. Infiltrator Bot turning out to be really good here. Oh.
The text box. I have to say, though, those Reese bots, we've seen just as many Warhulks as Slaughter Gears today.
Havoc, this should be fatal, but he didn't make the Infiltrator Bot unblockable.
Yeah, he didn't.
So this is only... Lakos can prevent dying here. Interestingly. I wonder if he'll notice that Havoc has not spent that resource to make the Infiltrator Bot unblockable.
Looks like he does, because he's assigning blockers. He's trying to find the combination, the winning combination, or at least not losing combination.
So he
Hence
blocks.
one.
He's taking 13. So he's just got to block a little bit more damage there, right? He's going to take 13 from what's on the board. So he has to get, a couple pieces of defense in front. Now, unfortunately, I think to survive this, he's going to have to throw away his board. Although, those Royal Falcons are double damage, so I think I might have thrown the Jags away instead. I'm not sure. Was there a way... I mean, because obviously we can't see Havoc's hand. He's going to have 4 cards in hand. If Havoc just has an answer, it's not. It doesn't matter. But it was possible that one of those Falcons would have been lethal.
All those cards being drawn.
Jeez.
Double inspired by Cerulean Mirror Knights. All those options.
So many options, but I mean they need to be options that specifically answer Eldritch Dreamer as well as. Oh, and Mastery of Time. So Havoc had it. It's a lot of shouting in chat. So it was a good game. Reese once again pulling through.
But again, it's not as if it's a landslide for a lot of these games. They've come down to the draw variants in a lot of them, and as we're pointing out, a lot of us would have kept a hand like that going 2 shards risky. I'm on the draw. What are the chances that
My
I won't
opponent's
be able
on
to?
5.
Yes.